March 30th, May 30th, June 19th, August 1st, August 31st, September 24th. What do all those dates have in common? Ah, you got that right. Well done. But of course, if I was to have asked you which one of those dates signified some important event, you may have struggled with that. And I'll tell you why, because you see, for most of us Trinbagonians, public holidays are those dates which we circle on our calendars or we flag on our electronic devices before the start of the year to see if they fall on a Friday or a Monday so we could get a long weekend, not so? But for some people, of course, they do have significance. So we dress up in traditional wear, or we go to rallies and demonstrations, hang buntings on our buildings in our national colors, we attend the military parade, and we look at fireworks. But is that all that these dates mean to you? For me, you see, these dates are important milestones, markers, if you wish, in our evolution as a society, in our journey out of slavery, through indenture, and up to freedom. Now, I don't have time this afternoon to walk us through that whole history, but I can say that that journey up to freedom is yet to be completed, and you have the opportunity to take us closer to the final destination. Let me share with you my idea of what the next step is along that journey. It is the Second Republic. We have to evolve from the First Republic, that which was established by the 1976 Constitution, to the Second Republic. Now, why do I say that? There are some important predicaments which we face every day that impact upon us. Now, many people talk about every Monday morning we have some crisis in the country or the other. I had made a short list, but I abandoned that list because there was a poll published recently by Solution by Simulation, and it appeared in the Trinidad Express, one of our newspapers. And what did that poll say? That 94% of the people say that crime is either a crisis or a serious problem. The corresponding figures for the economy were 73%, for corruption 77%, and national infrastructure 65%. No wonder, because I think as of yesterday, some 391 persons had been killed. And we have had the spectacle of sitting and past government ministers being arrested and charged for alleged acts of corruption. And yesterday there was massive gridlock throughout North and going into South Trinidad. As 2 days ago, we had flooding in several parts of the country with usual heavy rainfall. So what do we do about these crises? As individuals, we tend to sweep them under the carpet. So my child is going to a good school and will pass their exam, so I'm not worried about all those others who are failing. My child will never see the inside of a jail cell, so if there are 10 big hardback men in a cell in remand yard, that doesn't bother me. But that value set, that attitude, is one of the new alphabet. A for apple, B for bat, and C for yourself. And then, what do we do collectively as a society? We shirk responsibility and shift that responsibility to the other. And who is the other? The government. And what does the government do? It blames the government that came before them. And then they all spend a lot of money trying to solve the problems. So take crime. In the last 5 years, taxpayers really, we spent $16.5 billion on national security. That doesn't include the billions more spent by businesses and individuals on cameras and alarm systems and security guards. But did all that money solve the problems? Well, the poll told us no. 94% said no. So the billion-dollar question is, why do we have these crises? I want to offer 3 answers. First, our culture and attitude. Secondly, our system of governance. And third, our leadership, or rather, the lack of it and our failed leadership. So point one, our culture and attitudes. So we have flooding, but that's not just due to climate change and aged infrastructure and so on. It is also because of what we do. People dump appliances and motor cars in the water courses. Business people, some of them unscrupulous, doing unplanned and unapproved development, fill up the drains to construct their buildings. And then we all act surprised when it floods. And who do we blame? The government. And then perhaps the worst manifestation is that of corruption. Lloyd Best, one of our great Caribbean thinkers, once said that if everyone is corrupt, corruption is no longer a problem. He didn't mean that he was condoning it. What he was saying is that we'll never ever get to stopping corruption if so many of us are corrupt. So we are all very happy if we go to a business place and we don't pay value-added tax. We think we have saved some money, but then we complain when the government doesn't have the revenue to fix the roads, not realizing, in fact, that when we don't pay the tax, we are robbing our own selves. I hope you get the point. Unless we radically change our culture and attitudes, we are going to continue to see our society crumble around us. So that is one issue of our culture and attitudes. And the Second Republic, therefore, has to be built upon the solid foundation of the culture of individual and collective responsibility. But that requires a revolution of the mind. Point number two, our system of governance. Many have written about it. In fact, our president of our republic was moved to quote the Calypso of 40 years ago that the kicks in Parliament as she bemoaned what was taking place in what is supposed to be the highest institution in the land. But I want to say that, again, the poll tells us an important story, because less than 30% of our people have confidence in the institutions of this country. And that has been so regardless of which party is in government. Surely that tells us that the institutions of the First Republic are not serving, in fact, they're failing the interests of the people. Now, again, we could ask the question, why? I want to offer the answer that the institutions are really the same old colonial institutions of 60 years ago. So it's, wanting to evolve to the 21st century. It's like me trying to WhatsApp on my BlackBerry. No can go. So if I want to WhatsApp, I'm going to have to evolve. And similarly, and upgrade. And similarly, if we want to have good governance, if we want to have transparency, if we want to have the efficient delivery of public goods and services, healthcare, education, transport, water, electricity, all of those things, we have to upgrade and transform our institutions of state. You see, when we became independent, we changed the people who were running the systems and the institutions, but the systems and the institutions did not change. So this speaks to the superstructure of the Second Republic. We need new walls and a roof built upon the foundation of individual and collective responsibility. And that really says constitutional reform, it says administrative reform, it says local government reform, so that people will have power where they live. But above all, it also says that we, the people, must be involved in the process of decision-making, those decisions that impact upon our lives and which determine the future direction of our country. Do you know that this is in fact what the preamble to the Constitution of this country says? Because it says that we, the people, have asserted our belief in a democratic society in which all persons may, to the extent of their capacity, play some part in the institutions of national life. But our republic, this First Republic, blocks people from participating. It denies people the right to information, and it frustrates transparency and accountability. And that's another reason why we have to evolve to the Second Republic. Point three, leadership, or the failure of our leadership. And I too want to go back to Lloyd Best, where he talked about the validating elites. Not just the politicians, but the leaders of civil society, business leaders, our professionals and technocrats, people who are in positions of decision-making power. Now, Stephen Covey gave us a number of memorable quotes about leadership. The one I like is this one. Management is efficiency in climbing the ladder of success. Leadership determines whether the ladder is leaning on the right wall. We have had not leaders, but managers. And they have done very well for themselves, climbing the ladder of success. But they never took a look at the wall upon which the ladder rested, and that wall is crumbling. So what do? They paint up the wall from time to time, and they plaster the cracks when the cracks get too large. But the colonial structured wall is collapsing. Which brings me to another point about failure of leadership. We haven't transformed the economy of this country. We still have essentially the old colonial plantation system. So we haven't diversified. We haven't sought to bring into productive activity the huge creative capacity of our people so that everyone would have a sustainable livelihood and a decent income. In fact, how the system operates is that it excludes some people. And when they exclude those people, all of a sudden, gangs and violence become an attractive option for them. So we need to transform the economy. That's another example of our failed leadership. So we need transformational leadership. But that transformational leadership also has to address the fact that we are, according to the last poll 2 weeks ago, a deeply divided society by race and by socioeconomic status. And we cannot reconstruct this country if 30% of the population is pulling this way, 30% is pulling that way, and 40% is standing one side and doing nothing and saying nothing. Leadership is important. Leadership has to have courage and has to have vision. As Martin Luther King reminded us, leadership is about the ability to articulate and to implement on a vision. And that is what we need. So I've given you 3 reasons for our predicament. Culture and attitudes, system of governance, failed institutions, and failure of leadership and absence of leadership. But I want to return for a moment to the public holidays. August 1st, Emancipation Day, represented the fact that we were asserting ourselves as men and women as equal to all and inferior to none. May 30th, Indian Arrival Day, signifies our major advance as a diverse society, forced as it was. June 19th represents Labor Day, represents that moment of 1937 when ordinary working men and women, many of them unlettered, had the courage of their convictions to say that exploitation must stop, and they wanted a new vision and direction for the society where the dignity of labor would be respected. March 30th, Shouter Baptist Liberation Day, represents the fact of recognition and mutual respect for everyone in the society. Independence Day is the moment when we became a nation and asserted our sovereignty, our right to self-determination. And Republic Day, September 24th, is where we took a further step forward to say we are now responsible for our own future. Those represent the evolution of our society. But evolution is about change, and change doesn't fall from the sky. Change happens when people take action, like the Me Too movement, Black Lives Matter movement, or what is happening this very day with students all over the world organizing around climate change. The time to take action is now. It's like cancer. Catch it at stage 1, you have a good chance of success and of survival. If you procrastinate and it gets to stage 4, chances are that you wouldn't make it. And the crises that we have are manifestations and symptoms of a deeper malaise, which we have to tackle right now. I want to say that you have an opportunity to take action. I've been in the trenches for many years in the labor movement. I served in the Senate, sat on cabinet-appointed committees, wrote numerous recommendations and memoranda. And what I have learned through all of that experience is that unless we get to the root cause of our problems, it's like we're spinning top in mud. I'm sure many of you are doing great work in NGOs, in communities, with new business initiatives and so on. But don't you feel sometimes that even if you save one life at risk youth, or 100, or empower a community of women, or succeed with your business venture, that the more things change around us, the situation has not changed. And that is because all this good work that we are doing is really inside a building, a structure that is crumbling. And so I say to you today, we have a choice. Do we then become managers who very efficiently climb the ladder of success? Or do we become leaders and agents of change to reconstruct this society and help it to evolve to the Second Republic, further along that journey up to freedom? Now, quite coincidentally, in 4 days' time, 24th of September, is Republic Day. It's a Tuesday. So I hope you're not going to take Monday off and get a 4-day weekend. Instead, I want you to reflect on the state of our republic and help to carry us forward to the second one. Thank you very much.